Today I wanted to walk you guys through how to do a gauge swatch for my McKenzie cardigan that's coming out soon. If you're watching this and it's out, the pattern will be linked in the video description. But this is a great V-neck cardigan sweater. And I just wanted to walk you through how to do a gauge swatch for this because swatching for the sweater is important just so you get the right measurements. And I just wanted to show you two different types of yarn that I swatched with to help you figure out what you might want to use. So the sample that you just saw was knit with We Are Knitters Petite wool on 5.5mm needles. And this swatch was knit with Lion Brand Heartland yarn on 5mm needles. We Are Knitters Petite wool is definitely a thicker yarn than this Heartland yarn. And I just wanted to show you that the sweater can be knit with two different types of yarn, and you can block your sweater to get to the measurements you need. Typically, We Are Knitters is knit, I usually knit it on 6mm needles. I went down and knit it on 5.5mm needles to get the fit that I wanted. And I just like with lace for it to be a little bit tighter. And so I was able to meet gauge with 5mm needles with this Lion Brand Heartland yarn. So I just wanted to walk you through a few things. So basically, typically when you see patterns, gauge swatches are knit over 4 by 4 inch squares. This is done over 5 inches by 3 inches because I wanted to get a full lace repeat lengthwise and two of the diamonds completed widthwise to get an accurate depiction of how big the swatch will be. And basically, when I knit the cardigan, when I graded it, it's graded by the number of diamonds that you complete. So it's helpful to swatch over complete finished diamond repeats. So if you want to take a look at the gauge chart, and to mention, I've got this feather lace diamond gauge chart linked in the video description below, so you can click on it. You can find it on my website. When you read a knitting chart, you start on the lower right hand side and you read from right to left. So each box represents a stitch. And here you've got the chart abbreviations, what they mean. If there is nothing in a box, it is a knit stitch. And then we've got a knit two together, we've got a yarn over, we've got a slip one, knit one, pass the slip stitch over, and then we have a slip one, knit two together, pass the slip stitch over. I will show you how to make those stitches so you can basically do everything in the McKenzie cardigan chart. There is a 2-stitch decrease that I have leaning the other way, and that is just knitting 3 stitches together. And I'll go over that in more detail when I put together my video explaining how to knit the entire cardigan. But first, it's important to just get your gauge swatch. It'll help you practice the feather lace diamond stitch. And I do want to mention too that when you read knitting charts, the stitches in between the two solid black lines here, those are the repeats. So even though I'm going to have you cast on 23 stitches for this gauge swatch, if you wanted to do a larger swatch for whatever reason, if you wanted to do more practicing or whatever, you can cast on an additional 10 stitches to get you a whole nother diamond. So if you wanted to do a whole nother diamond, you could cast an additional 10 stitches and just work the chart all the way to here, repeat those 10 stitches again, and then work the chart to the end. So when you work the pattern, that chart repeat will be there in some on some specific pieces. So you repeat the stitches in between the solid black lines if you've cast on more stitches than the chart calls for. But just note that you would have to cast on an additional 10 stitches because this is a 10-stitch repeat. And we are in a 16-row repeat. And even though you see 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15 here on the side, we purl all wrong side rows. So you'll complete the work this way. You'll go this way. On the right side of the work, you'll purl back, just all purl stitches, and then you'll move on to row 3 and work this line, purl back, work row 5, purl back, 7, and so on. So basically, again, each box represents a stitch. You can just refer to the key to figure out what stitch you need to do. And we can get started. And one thing that's great that I wanted to mention about knitting charts is that the chart actually looks like the work. So you can see, if you're following the chart correctly, if your work starts looking like what the chart looks like. So each stitch, if you see this stitch, this slip one, knit one, pass the slip stitch over, it leans to the left. So your stitch should be leaning to the left. Just like the knit two together leans to the right here, your work should be leaning to the right. So that just helps you realize if you are knitting the stitches correctly. Your work should look like the actual chart. Okay, you're going to cast on 23 stitches or 23 plus 10. So you could cast on 33, 43, and then repeat those 10 stitches. I'm just going to cast on 23 stitches, and then we can start working our chart. So I cast on my 23 stitches. I'm actually going to turn the work and purl back, so I begin my chart on the right side. It's just what I like to do when I've cast it on using the long tail cast on method. So I'm just going to purl all the way back and then get ready to start the chart when I'm on the right side of the work. Okay, I've finished purling back. I'm on the right side of the work now. I'm just going to quickly reference the chart, and then I'll actually show you how to knit the first row. So again, we start over here, we knit 4 stitches, then we're going to do a knit 2 together, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, then we do a slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, knit 5 stitches, then we do a knit 2 together. If you have more than 23 stitches, if you have 33 stitches on, you go back to this 6th stitch here and repeat the stitches 6 through 15. Then when you're done, you do yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, knit 4 to the end. So that's the very first row. So I am just going to work the first row of the chart to show you how it's done. Row 1 is knit 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we do a knit 2 together. And to knit 2 together, you insert your needle through the next 2 stitches as if to knit, and then knit those stitches. Let's try that again. Knit those 2 stitches. Then we're going to do a yarn over, knit 1, yarn over. Now we do a slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, and that looks like this. Slip 1, knit 1, and then you pass that slip stitch over. And just pausing here for a second, you can see that our first knit 2 together right here leans this way, and then our slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over leans this way. So that's what starts creating the lace look with the yarn overs. Now I'm going to knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now I'm doing a knit 2 together, then a yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, and now we should have 4 stitches left, which we do, and then we just knit to the end. Turn the work, and remember, every wrong side row we are just purling, so you'll just purl all the way back. Okay, purled back. I'm going to turn the work over, and I wanted to mention, you've got the chart here, you're following it, but use common sense. So you started row 1 with knitting 4, right? And then we have this gradual slant that goes this way. So then the next row we knit 3, next row we knit 2, next row we knit 1 before that. So just kind of like pay attention to where you are and what makes sense based on what the stitch looks like. I know it'll take you a little bit to kind of figure out what I mean by this, but like don't do a random yarn over in the middle here. The yarn overs are all on top of each other, right? So you'll make sure you do the yarn over right before that center stitch. Okay, so I'm just going to work the next row quickly for you here. I won't go as slow. Knit 3, knit 2 together, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1. Okay, so I'm right here now. I'm right here. Now I begin the slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over. Slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, then I knit 3. 1, 2, 3, knit 2 together, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 1, and then I do the slant the other way, the slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, and then I knit to the end. I should have 3 stitches left, which I do. 3 stitches left. 3 stitches left, knit to the end. And then you turn the work and purl back. Okay, I'll just keep going here. I'm on a row 5 now. So it starts with a knit 2, 1, 2, then I do the knit 2 together. And you can tell now, look at how the knit 2 togethers are all lined up. So we've got the slant going in this direction. This is the bottom of that diamond going up that way. So we knit 2 together. Now I'm knitting 2 again, 1, 2. And now look, I yarn over. The yarn overs are all right on top of each other. Knit 1, yarn over. You are always doing that yarn over, knit 1, yarn over on top of each other until you're at the end of like 4. There 8. You'll do 8 rows together like that. Okay, and then now I'm knitting 2. Then we do a slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over. Then we knit 1 and knit 2 together. And again, you can see I've got my stitches slanted that way over here, my stitches slanted this way over here. So if that's not looking right, then you're off somewhere and you've got to figure out where you went off. Then you knit 2, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 2 again, and then we do the slant going the other direction, slip 1 and knit 1, pass the slip stitch over. I should have 2 stitches left, which I do, and then I'll just knit those 2 stitches and purl back. All right, now I'm on a row 7, and that is when we have this slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over, and this is a decrease of 2 instead of just a decrease of 1. So I just wanted to show you how to do a row 7. So with row 7, we knit 1, we do our knit 2 together, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, 1, knit 1, knit 2, knit 3. And here is our slip one, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over. So this is at the top of the diamond. So we've got 3 stitches here that we need to basically turn into 1 stitch. So at the top of the diamond, it comes together with a slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over. So we do that by going like this. You slip 1 stitch, knit 2 together, and then you pass that slip stitch back over. So we've reduced 2 stitches, but it pulls together the top of the diamond together. You see that? It looks really nice. So then you just knit 3, yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, knit 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we have a slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, and then a knit 1. And then again, we'll purl back for a row 8. Okay, so after a row 8, you've got the bottom of the diamonds complete. So there's 16 rows. The first 8 rows are the bottom of the diamond, and the top 8 rows are the top of the diamond, as you can see. So we have finished a row 8, and we need to start a row 9. So the stitches look a little different now. You knit 2, yarn over. It's the same stitches, they're just in a little bit of a different order. So follow the same concept, but you're just knitting 2, yarn over, slip 1, knit 1, pass the slip stitch over, knit 5, again, just like that. So after you've completed a row 16 and you've purled back, then just bind off and stockinette stitch. And you'll be left with this. This is what your work will look like once you are done with your 16 rows. So you're actually binding off on the 17th row, and your work will look like this when you're done. I suggest blocking your swatch just to ensure you can get it to the measurements that you need to get it to hit your gauge. So again, 5 inches by 3 inches. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to grab some wash that I'll link this in the video description. And you're going to want to fill a sink up with some cold water, do a squirt or 2 of the wash, let it all soak in, submerge this in water, and then let it sit for like 10 or 15 minutes. And then rinse out the water, ball it up in a towel, and get as much excess water out as you can. And then take your blocking mat and stretch it to 5 inches by 3 inches. And you can make sure that your swatch is where it should be. You can decide then if it's too big or too small. You can go down a needle size if your work is too big. So if this is like stretching way off, if your work is too big, you're going to want to go down a needle size. If your work is too small and it's not big enough, you're going to want to go up a needle size. I had to think about that for a minute. Make sure I'm telling you the right thing. Okay, so that's how you block your swatch. You can let it dry. And then you can see how it's looking. You know, this also just gives you an idea. You can knit this up in a couple different yarns and see which one you like the best. It's nice to just see some different examples. I love the difference between the two. Like this is definitely a lighter weight, more summery, springy knit, and then this could be worn in the winter, but it's fun to swatch up a couple different yarns to see which one you like, to see which one works with what needle size. So again, I used We Are Knitters Petite Wool in 5.5 millimeters to hit gauge here, and this is Lion Brand Heartland yarn knit on 5 millimeter needles, and I was able to hit gauge. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoy your swatch, and I hope you're getting excited to knit the McKenzie cardigan.